Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and in this video here, I'm going to be answering the most common question I get on all of my Titan Quest build videos, which is, how do I spend my attribute points when leveling up? So this advice is going to be applicable to basically every build in the game. I'm just giving general advice here because I think it'll work for everybody no matter what. And if you would like to see a written version of this advice, be sure to check out the beginner's guide section on my website. I have a bunch of guides that I'm currently working on now, so they might not be released at the exact time this video is released, but they will be within a few days after this video comes out. So keep an eye out for them, and they will have additional information. Also, there is a very popular YouTuber slash Twitch streamer that is worthwhile for information on Titan Quest named Klex Plays. You can find him on YouTube if you search it, C-L-E-X, Klex, and Plays. And you'll find his YouTube channel, and he has probably the best Titan Quest information you can find. Anyway, I figured that was relevant information or worthwhile to get out there initially, because if you guys are listening to this video, you probably want additional information for Titan Quest anyway. So, the very first tip that I can give you for spending stat points when you level, or yeah, the title of the video, the very first piece of advice I can give you is Google which attributes your class uses. That is the most important thing in the world, because every build guide is going to tell you, well, every build guide worth their salt is going to tell you what attribute points your build needs. All of mine do. For example, we'll take a look at a few of mine here. You'll see at the top of all of my build guides, I have a specific section here called attributes. And every single build guide has this for Titan Quest. And all of these will say what are your main attributes and where you will want to put your attribute points. Now, they don't say, like, you know, every 4th level put 4 points into dexterity, blah, 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 blah. They don't give, like, exact play-by-plays that you need to follow. I give rough general guidelines, and I think that's why people still ask where to spend their attribute points, because I don't give an exact play-by-play. I give rough general guidelines. However, rough general guidelines are better than exact play-by-play, and that's partly what I'm going to explain in this video. I'm going to go back over to this tunnel. Ran away from it, even though I wanted to go into it. So the next thing, I thought there was a tunnel. Yeah, there is. The next piece of advice I would have for you is bank your stat points when you're leveling up. Don't spend them immediately when you get them. Keep like 20 to 30 of them available at all times. And the reason you want to do this is because you don't know what gear you're going to find and what stats it's going to require to equip. So for example, right now I am playing a character that uses mostly intelligence gear, and intelligence gear comes with, or rather, intelligence gear often requires int and dex to equip it. I'll show you, like, right here, my Stonebinder's cuffs. Well, they require strength and dex, but like this one, Tunic of the Magi, dex and intelligence. So it requires 150 dexterity and about 400 intelligence. If I am leveling an intelligence character, I might have enough intelligence to equip it, but not enough dexterity to equip it. And if I leave enough attribute points banked, then I'll have no problem whatsoever. When I find it, I can just dump a few into dexterity and equip the item, which is exactly why you want to keep some points banked at all times. Now, there's one exception to this rule. Say you're playing a character like this that uses mostly intelligence, and you have intelligence slash dexterity gear. If you find a piece of gear with strength on it, you do not want to dump a bunch of points into strength just so you can equip it. That would be a no-no. Unless, another exception, I know, so mucho confusing. The other exception would be if you're playing a hybrid sort of character that is pretty much made for this. There's some builds out there. One that's coming to mind initially is Magician. It's a combination of Rogue and Earth, I think. And that's a build where you kind of just spread around all of your attribute points. It's like 500 in strength, 500 in dex, 500 in intelligence. So Paladin is another build like this where you equip some strength gear and some not strength gear. If you're going to be playing a build like that, then that would be okay. But if you're playing like an intelligence caster, you absolutely do not want to dump points into strength just because you find a good strength gear. You want to stick to your intelligence and dexterity gear and only dump points into that, you know, into those two attributes when you find gear that need them. So the third piece of advice I'd have for you, only buy health and energy, these health and energy, when your stats are high enough to equip the gear you need, and or if you know what you are doing. Don't dump a bunch of points into health or energy because you will gimp your character. Your stats are almost always more important to put your attribute points into. The only times you want to put some attribute points into health and energy is if you're already high level, like I said, you already got a lot of your stats high enough to equip all the gear that you want. And if your health or energy is hurting for some specific reason and you can't change your gear out because you're too dependent on the gear you have because of resistances or whatever it may be. So there's an example of that I can give you. There's a few classes in the game like Warden, which is a combination of defense and hunting, I think, that neither of their masteries ever give them mana. And unless you get any gear with mana on it, you're going to have like 300 to 400 energy at max level, which is, it's not good enough. It's not even good enough while leveling up. So for a build like that, I would put a few points into energy just to, you know, make it a little more even, and so I'm not constantly running out of energy, you know, every 2 seconds, because that would be quite annoying too. But like I said, the better way to fix that is to just get a few pieces of gear that come with energy versus, you know, putting some points into energy. That would be ideal. The next piece of advice that I am going to give you is Stonebinder's Cuffs. These right here. Stonebinder's Cuffs are arguably the best wrist item in all of Titan Quest. And it's also, the reason I like this isn't just because it's an amazing item, but also because it gives you an amazing dexterity benchmark for almost all of your characters. If you're going to be playing a character that is going to be using Stonebinder's Cuffs, you have your dexterity benchmark. You know you need 425 dexterity to equip them. So that answers one of your questions right there. How much dexterity do I need? 425 Stonebinder's Cuffs, if you're going to use them, of course. So yeah, it doesn't matter. They work for all characters. They're not just good for intelligence casters, although I mostly use them on my intelligence casters. They're also great for, you know, any of your melee characters. They're amazing bracers. Aside from that, the last piece of advice that I have for you is, once you are done dumping your points into, once you're done equipping all the gear that you want and you know you have like your end game set, basically, like I know this character has his end game set because once you get to level 60, there's not many items you can find that are higher level than level 60, which means, like, let's see, I think these boots, no, let me say, like the Stonebinder's Cuffs, for example, I know I'm not going to find an item that's going to require more dexterity than 425. So I know that is my like final slot right there. I'm never going to need more dex than that. So this right here, this would probably be my highest level intelligence piece of gear. I know I would probably never need more intelligence than 455 because I'm already wearing the end game gear that I want. And the same goes, like, for example, strength. This shield right here only requires 169 because I have a lot of reduction. I'll never need to put any more points into strength because I'm already equipping what I want to use with my strength stat. And as far as once you've equipped all of your endgame gear, as far as spending attribute points goes, you dump them into whatever is your primary damage stat. So if you're a melee user, you'll dump it all into strength. If you're a caster, like I am, you dump it all into intelligence. And if you are a throwing weapons or spear user, I'm pretty sure it is, you dump it all into piercing. We're not throwing weapons. I think it's just bows. I think only bows do piercing damage, but I could be wrong about that. But if you're using, if you're dealing piercing damage, you want to put it all into dexterity. And that's really all there is to it. If you need more offensive ability or defensive ability, I do not recommend you dump points into dexterity to get it. You should dump points into whatever your primary damage dealing attribute is and hope that covers you. The more damage covers for your lack of misses / extra hits. And that's really all there is to it. If you guys have any additional questions, post them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if I forgot anything, please, of course, post that in the comment section below too. Aside from that, though, if this video helped you out, leave me a like because that helps me out, and I will catch you guys around in future Titan Quest videos. Peace.